Welcome back. What are the important elements that we need to consider in reading the essay? How are these elements organized to form a meaningful and well-structured composition? One important consideration in reading the essay is to ascertain accurately what the writer is actually saying. Unlike reading fiction, where we allow varied interpretations, in reading the essay, we have to make sure that we do not misread the context. Hence, it is important for the reader to know the meanings of the words used in the text. If you recall the classroom scene we watched earlier, the teacher began by reviewing the vocabulary words taken from the text. She asked the class to look up the meaning of the words using the latest edition of Webster's dictionary, and to point out how these words have changed their meanings through time. Indeed, this was crucial to the discussion of the text, considering that Bacon's essay was written in the 16th century, and his use of language is different from that of the 21st century reader. This way, it was a lot easier for the students to restate the ideas of the essay using their own words. Why? They could even give examples from their own experiences. With the unlocking of difficult words in the text, a part of the problem has been solved. However, the discussion that followed was not necessarily smooth sailing, especially after one student complained that the essay was a little difficult to read. The student further pointed out what seemed to be a typographical error, that is, the unusual structure of Bacon's one-paragraph essay. So, how else did the teacher help her students read the text correctly? The teacher guided the class in outlining the essay, which helped check the accuracy of their understanding and highlighted the important ideas presented. Inasmuch as the Bacon's essay is formal in nature and is well written, it was easy to outline. How does outlining help in reading the essay? The outline reveals the organization of the essay, its main divisions, and its supporting points. The act of outlining trains the reader in expressing organized thought found at the beginning, the middle, and the end part of the essay. Moreover, through outlines and summaries, the reader will remember what he or she has read. What are the steps in outlining? First, summarize in a sentence or two the main idea of the essay as a whole. Second, summarize the major ideas. And third, summarize important supporting points. In the second half of the class discussion, the teacher focused on the language and style of the essay. Since the formal essay is preoccupied with ideas, the reader must focus on how these ideas are logically presented and developed. A well-written essay follows the logical rules of discourse and observes the basic principles of unity, coherence, and emphasis. It should also be noted that the essay is expository in nature. Thus, the writer makes use of varied writing techniques, such as description, narration, argumentation, analogy, comparison and contrast, definition, classification, and development of ideas through induction or deduction. In following the expository techniques used in the essay, the reader is better able to understand the ideas being presented. After all, these writing techniques make up the exposition of the ideas. Taking Bacon's essay as an example, the writer uses in-depth analysis in his discussion of the topic. This type of analysis is concerned with dividing a complex subject into its component parts on the principle of logical relationships rather than chronological ones. Thus, we find Bacon's categories of the different purposes of studies, the proper approaches to books, and the effects of various kinds of studies to be highly analytical. In an analytical essay, the writer must take note of the following details. First, the subject must be divided into categories that are mutually exclusive. Second, the items must include all of the items in the class being divided. And third, the criteria for the division must be reasonable and useful. For a more detailed discussion of the other types of expository techniques, please refer to your Teaching Support Material or TSM. Going back to the class we observed, the teacher also noted the writer's use of rhetorical devices in the organization of his essay. As such, the class was able to point out the use of parallelism, aphorism, and anaphora in Bacon's essay. The use of rhetorical devices is another important element in the development of the essay. The rhetorical device presents the relationship between the language and the idea it wishes to convey. Hence, what would otherwise be plain, if not dull language, becomes more emphatic and memorable. So far, our discussion has focused on the formal type of essay. This time, we shall observe another class in their discussion of an informal essay. Make sure that you take note of the teaching strategies which the teacher uses in her discussion.